All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something I find fascinating.
Okay.
Um, the path to becoming an Army general.
Right.
I'll be honest. My military knowledge is more like Saving Private Ryan than actual strategy.
Yeah.
But that's why we have an expert with us today
Oh,
to
wow.
kind of unpack what it takes to prep for an interview for this kind of role.
Awesome.
And I have to mention this amazing tool, RoleCatcher.
Yes.
It's like having a personal career coach, like right in your pocket,
Yeah.
especially for these high-stakes jobs.
For sure.
You know, what's interesting about RoleCatcher
What's that?
is its focus on understanding the specific skills and mindset
Yeah.
needed for different roles,
Right.
not just generic advice.
Exactly. And for a role as complex as Army General, that's essential.
Totally. They even have AI that tailors your resume and gives feedback on practice interviews.
That's right.
I mean, how cool is that?
It is cool.
But enough about the tech. Let's get into the heart of it.
Okay.
So we're using RoleCatcher's insights and sample interview questions.
That's right.
Way to help you understand what it really takes to be an Army general.
Sounds good.
So the first question RoleCatcher highlights is, what motivated you to join the Army? And how has this motivation changed over time?
That's a good one.
It's deeper than just saying, I want to serve my country.
Right.
It's about understanding your core values and how they connect to the realities of military leadership.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we even begin to unpack that?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like such a huge question.
It is a big one. So think about the career guide we have here.
Okay.
It lists pros like leading a team,
Okay.
making impactful decisions,
Yeah.
being part of something bigger than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Those are powerful motivators.
Right.
But then there are the cons,
Okay.
high stress, long hours,
Yeah.
time away from family.
And potentially dangerous situation.
But exactly, that's not something you can gloss over.
No.
And the career guide goes further. It highlights the constantly evolving tech landscape. So an Army general isn't just about traditional warfare anymore.
Right.
It's about navigating advanced communication systems, understanding surveillance tech,
Okay.
making decisions based on data from complex weapon systems.
Whoa. Okay. It's way more high-tech than I ever imagined.
Yeah, it is.
So someone motivated by just the glory aspect
Yeah,
probably wouldn't last long, huh?
probably not.
And remember, becoming a general is a journey.
It is a journey.
The Career Guide's Career Stages section emphasizes that.
Yes.
You're not just thrown into the deep end.
Yep.
You start as a platoon leader, work your way up to company commander, and so on.
Exactly.
It's a path of constant learning and growth.
For sure.
Okay, so that first question is really about self-awareness.
Yes.
How do your values align with this long-term commitment
Right.
and the evolving nature of the role?
Yeah.
Okay, now, RoleCatcher also asks,
Okay.
what do you consider to be the most important qualities of an effective Army general? So I might initially say courage and tactical brilliance, like you see in the movies.
Sure.
But is that too simplistic?
It's a good starting point. But the career guide paints a more nuanced picture.
Okay.
Strategic thinking is a given,
Right.
but it also highlights diplomacy.
Oh, okay. That might seem surprising
Yeah.
for a military role.
It does, but think about it.
Okay.
Modern warfare often involves complex alliances
Yeah.
and collaborations.
So an Army general needs to be able to build relationships,
Yeah.
not just with their own troops, but with leaders from other countries,
Right.
organizations. I mean, that's a whole other skill set.
It is a whole other skill set, and it's not just about charisma.
Okay.
The guide also mentions handling ambiguity as a key quality. In a rapidly changing environment, things rarely go according to plan.
Right.
An effective general has to be comfortable making tough decisions with incomplete information,
Oh, wow.
adapting constantly.
So it's like being a chess grandmaster.
Yeah.
Who also has to be amazing at poker
That's a great analogy.
because you never have all the pieces.
You got it. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI comes in.
Oh, really?
It can analyze your answers to these questions,
Right.
comparing them to successful profiles and highlighting areas you might need to strengthen.
Wait, so it's not just about giving the right answer.
Right.
It's about how you articulate those qualities.
Yes.
And how your thinking aligns with what they're looking for.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It is pretty cool.
And to really see these qualities in action, let's look at one of the example profiles in the career guide.
Okay.
There's one for a brigade commander who emphasizes coordination and integration as key.
Okay. A good one.
They're managing multiple battalions, evaluating performance, constantly collaborating with higher-ranking officers?
That's right.
Whoa, hold on, battalions.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's more than just a group of soldiers hanging out, right?
It is, a battalion is a large military unit,
Okay.
typically consisting of several hundred soldiers, often divided into companies or batteries.
Okay.
And a brigade commander might oversee several of these,
Right.
requiring them to think strategically across a larger scale.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So this example shows how the role demands a balance
Yeah.
of strategic thinking, interpersonal skills,
Right.
and a whole lot of organization, it seems.
It does a whole lot.
And those skills develop over time.
Yes.
It's not like you wake up one day as a general with all these abilities.
Right.
It's a progressive journey, as the career guide shows.
Exactly.
Okay, we've tackled motivation and qualities.
Yep.
Now comes the question that probably makes even experienced officers sweat.
Okay.
How would you approach a situation where you disagreed with a superior's decision?
That's a tough one.
I mean, in the military, isn't it just follow orders, no questions asked?
That's a common misconception.
Oh, really?
Respectfully disagreeing with someone in a position of authority
Uh,
is a vital skill for a ANY leader, not just in the military. The career guy hints at this, but it's crucial to understand WHY.
okay, so tell me, why is it so important?
Okay.
Especially in a highly structured environment like the military.
Because even the most brilliant leaders can make mistakes,
Okay.
especially with limited information or under pressure.
Right.
And if everyone blindly follows orders,
Yeah.
those mistakes can have disastrous consequences.
Okay, that's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
But how do you actually disagree with the superior respectfully,
Right.
especially in a high-stakes environment?
Yeah. So RoleCatcher's interview guide offers some excellent sample responses.
Okay.
But let's break it down into a framework you can use.
Right.
Firstly, truly understand their decision.
Okay.
Ask clarifying questions.
Uh-huh.
Gather information.
Okay.
Try to see things from their perspective.
So don't just barge in with a dissenting opinion.
Right.
Take the time to really understand the situation first.
Exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
Good. Then assess the potential impact. Is this a minor issue or something with major consequences?
Right.
If it's the latter and you still disagree, prepare a well-reasoned argument outlining your concerns
Okay.
and offering alternative solutions.
Okay, so it's about being prepared, not just reactive.
Yes, prepared, not reactive.
But what if they just shut you down,
Yeah,
refuse to listen?
that's where it gets really tricky.
Yeah.
And this is where those qualities we discussed,
Okay.
resilience, adaptability,
Yeah.
handling ambiguity,
Yeah.
they all come into play.
All right.
You need to weigh the risks of speaking up versus staying silent.
Okay.
It's a judgment call.
And probably a pretty stressful one at that.
They can be.
It's starting to feel like an Army general needs the mental fortitude of
Yeah.
like an Olympic athlete.
That's actually not far off.
Wow.
And that's just one aspect of the job.
Right.
Remember the career guide's cons list?
Oh, yeah.
High stress, limited control over assignments, constant pressure. It's not a glamorous role.
Definitely not for the faint of heart.
Nope, but it's also a role where you can make a real difference. And that's
Yeah.
what motivates many people.
All right, let's take a breather and come back to the human element of leadership.
Okay.
Motivating soldiers and preparing them for the demands of their work.
All right, sounds good.
That's next on RoleCatcher's list.
Let's do it. Welcome back. Before we shift focus to the human element, which we'll get to in a moment,
Okay.
I want to touch on another challenging interview question from RoleCatcher.
Okay.
What is your approach to building strong relationships with other military leaders and organizations?
Okay.
It's easy to assume the military is all about hierarchy and following orders,
I was about to say, that doesn't sound very military to me.
right?
Isn't it all about chain of command?
It is a piece of the puzzle, but the modern military landscape requires a much more nuanced approach.
Okay.
Remember the industry trends we talked about?
Uh-huh.
Globalization technology?
Yep.
Warfare is far more complex and interconnected now.
So it's not just about leading your own troops. It's about working with leaders from other countries,
Right.
even organizations outside the military.
That's right.
That sounds intimidating, honestly.
It is a challenge, no doubt.
Yeah.
But RoleCatcher's Guide offers some strategies.
Okay.
Regular communication, both formal and informal, is key.
Right.
Think attending conferences, participating in joint exercises.
Oh, right. Like those war games you sometimes hear about,
Yeah,
where different countries' militaries train together.
exactly.
I guess that makes sense. Building trust in a less high-pressure environment.
Exactly. And it's not just about strategy.
Okay.
Picking up the phone to talk to a counterpart from another organization just to check in
Right.
can build rapport and understanding.
Yeah.
It's about fostering relationships, not just ticking boxes.
So it's almost like diplomacy is becoming as important as tactical skill.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And that brings us to another key question.
Okay.
How do you prioritize competing demands and make tough decisions in a rapidly changing environment? This gets to the heart of what makes this role so demanding.
I can imagine the information overload,
Yes.
constant reports, requests, shifting priorities.
Right.
How do you even start to sort through all that?
The career guide stresses the importance of analytical thinking, not just gut instinct.
Okay.
Data analysis, risk assessment, consulting with experts.
Yeah.
It's about being methodical even under pressure.
Okay, so even in a crisis, there's a framework to follow.
There is.
That's reassuring, I guess.
Good.
But what about the impossible choices? You know, the ones with no good outcome.
Right.
The life or death decisions.
Those are the moments that truly test a leader.
Yeah.
There's no easy answer.
Right.
But experienced judgment and that ability to handle ambiguity become crucial.
Okay.
You have to assess the situation, define objectives, weigh the risks and benefits.
And then live with the consequences no matter what.
You got it.
That takes a special kind of courage, I think, beyond just facing danger.
I agree. And while the interview guide can't prepare you for every scenario, RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice articulating your decision-making process.
Really?
It analyzes your responses, compares them to successful profiles, and flags areas for improvement.
Wow. So you can rehearse how you think, not just what you say.
Yes, exactly.
That's incredible. Okay, now I'm really curious about the human side of things.
Okay.
How do you lead people through that kind of pressure?
That's where we shift to the next set of questions,
Okay.
which are all about preparing soldiers for the incredible demands of their work.
Right.
The physical aspect is obvious,
Yeah.
but the mental and emotional toll.
Yeah. We've talked about the stress, the
Yeah.
potential trauma,
Right.
the long separations from family.
Yes.
It's hard to imagine how you even begin to prepare someone for that.
It is tough. The career guide emphasizes a holistic approach to well-being.
Okay.
Mental health supports stress management techniques, fostering a culture of open communication within the ranks.
So it's not just about being tough. It's about acknowledging that soldiers are human beings
Right.
with complex needs and emotions.
Ex-
It's about creating an environment where they feel safe, seeking help.
You got it. And it's about preparing them for the unique challenges of modern warfare.
Right.
The rise of cyber warfare,
Yeah.
the blurring lines between civilian and military targets.
Yeah.
It creates a whole new set of psychological and ethical dilemmas.
It's almost like an army general needs to be a psychologist as much as a strategist these days.
That's a good way to put it. And this leads us to another crucial interview question.
Okay.
How do you ensure that your soldiers are motivated and engaged in their work?
Okay. I'm going to take a stab at this one.
Right.
I'd say clear communication is key.
Oh.
Setting a good example, recognizing and rewarding achievements.
Mm-hmm.
Am I on the right track?
You're hitting some of the core elements.
Okay.
But the career guide goes deeper,
Okay.
suggesting that an effective general fosters a sense of purpose and meaning in their soldiers' work.
Right. That why behind their service.
Exactly.
It's not enough just to give orders. It's about connecting their actions to something bigger than themselves.
That's right. And it's about understanding their individual strengths and weaknesses,
Oh.
providing opportunities for growth, and ensuring they have the resources they need to thrive.
Wow. That's a lot to juggle, especially in the midst of a high-pressure situation.
It is.
How do you even begin to personalize leadership on such a large scale?
That's where delegation and trust become critical.
Okay.
An effective general surrounds themselves with skilled leaders
Yeah.
and empowers them to make decisions at their level.
Right.
It's about building a strong leadership team, not just being the lone hero at the top.
Okay, this is starting to make sense. It's not just about being the toughest or the smartest.
Right.
It's about cultivating a whole network of strong leaders who share a vision and support each other.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next question,
Okay.
which is about ensuring soldiers are prepared for the physical demands of their work.
Okay.
Now, this might seem obvious.
But it's more than just physical fitness.
Right.
We're talking about a level of endurance and resilience that most people can't even fathom.
Right. And it's about constantly adapting to new technologies and tactics.
Uh-huh.
The career guide emphasizes the importance of ongoing training,
Okay.
exposure to cutting-edge equipment,
Yeah.
and fostering a culture of continuous learning within the ranks.
So even someone who's been in the military for years can't just rest on their laurels.
That's right.
The learning never stops.
Exactly. And that leads us to another crucial aspect of modern military leadership, which is navigating the complexities of ethical decision-making.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The career guide doesn't explicitly mention this,
Right.
but it's implied throughout.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how that's more relevant than ever.
Right.
With drone warfare, cyber attacks,
Uh-huh.
the lines between combatant and civilian getting blurred.
Yeah.
It's a whole new ethical landscape.
It is, and for a potential general, the interview might explore this indirectly. Think about questions like, how do you handle situations where following orders conflicts with your personal values?
Right.
Or describe a time you had to make a difficult decision with limited information and potentially negative consequences.
Wow, those are tough.
Yeah,
It's not just about knowing the right answer. It's about demonstrating a nuanced understanding
right.
of ethical considerations.
Exactly. And that's where RoleCatcher can be surprisingly helpful.
Oh, really?
Its AI analyzes your responses not just for content,
Okay.
but for tone, for how you frame your thinking.
Uh-huh.
It can flag areas where you might sound too rigid
Okay.
or where you haven't fully considered the human impact of your decisions.
So it's like having an ethics advisor
Yeah.
built into the interview prep. That's wild.
It's a powerful tool, especially for a role where your decisions can have life or death consequences.
Okay, before we wrap up, I have to ask about something we haven't touched on much.
Okay.
Diversity and inclusion.
Right.
Is that even a consideration for a role like Army General?
It's becoming increasingly important.
Hmm.
RoleCatcher even includes a question about it.
Okay.
How do you promote diversity and inclusion within your organization?
To be honest, when I picture the top brass,
Yeah.
it's not exactly a diverse group.
Right?
Is that changing?
It's a slow process,
Mm-hmm.
but the military recognizes the need for a force that reflects the society it serves.
Okay.
And there are practical reasons, too.
Okay, I get the moral argument,
Yeah.
but how does it benefit the military strategically?
A diverse team brings a wider range of skills, experiences, and perspectives.
Uh-huh.
It leads to better decision-making,
Okay.
increased creativity, a more adaptable force.
Right.
And in today's world, those are crucial advantages.
That makes sense. So how would you approach that interview question?
Yeah.
Feels like a minefield, to be honest.
It can be honesty and authenticity are key.
Okay.
You can acknowledge the military's historical struggles with diversity
Right.
while highlighting your commitment to fostering a more inclusive environment. Talk about specific strategies, mentorship programs, diversity training, reviewing recruitment policies.
So it's about showing that you understand the issue and have a plan,
Yes.
not just giving lip service.
Exactly. And it circles back to what we've discussed throughout this deep dive.
Okay.
Effective leadership is about more than just strategy and tactics.
Uh-huh.
It's about empathy, understanding, creating an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered.
I got to say, my image of what it means to be an Army general has completely changed.
Yeah.
It's so much more nuanced than I ever imagined.
And that's the key takeaway, really. This role is about so much more than just barking orders
Right.
and leading troops into battle.
Yeah.
It's about strategic thinking, diplomacy, ethical decision-making,
Uh-huh.
and yes, even promoting diversity and inclusion.
And it's about using tools like RoleCatcher to really unpack those complexities.
Absolutely.
And prepare yourself not just for the interview, but for the challenges of leadership itself.
Exactly. It's about understanding that leadership is a journey of continuous learning and growth.
Well, I feel like I've learned a ton today.
Good.
Thanks to you and to RoleCatcher for providing such insightful resources.
My pleasure. And for those listening, remember that the qualities we've discussed today,
Okay.
strategic thinking, adaptability, empathy, a commitment to ethical conduct,
Yeah.
these are valuable assets in any field.
So even if you're not planning on a military career, take these insights to heart.
Yes.
They might just help you on your own path to becoming a more effective leader.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to make a positive impact on the world.
And don't forget to explore RoleCatcher. It's like having a secret weapon in your pocket, no matter what career path you choose.